Hi friends, how's it going? Welcome back to Wordly Wise Book 5, Lesson 7. Today we will continue with this lesson. It's time for day 2. In today's lesson, let's briefly review the words we learned and their meanings. Then we will take on activity 7a. So have that activity ready to go. Great. Let's begin. When you see the word, say it out loud. What's this word? It's colony. Correct. Colony has 2 noun meanings. First, colony is the name of a group of people, animals, or plants living close together. This is a colony of ants. Yes. The second noun meaning for colony, this is the name of a group of people who settle in a new land and have legal ties to the country they came from. This is not as popular today, but a couple hundred years ago there were many British colonies in other countries and on other continents. Next, it's compensate. Great. Compensate has 2 verb meanings. First, to compensate is to make up for, to be equivalent to. My parents gave me another bike to compensate for the one that was stolen. To make up for. The second verb meaning, compensate, is to pay for. If someone does work for you, you can compensate them with money. Compensate, to pay for. Compensation is a different form of the word which has a noun meaning. Compensation is the name of payment to make up for something. See, he receives compensation for his work and is very happy about it. Next, it's deposit. Yes, deposit has 2 verb meanings and 2 noun meanings. First, the verb meaning deposit. To deposit is to lay down. The hikers deposited their backpacks on the porch. They laid it down. The second verb meaning deposit is to put money into a bank account or give as a partial payment. If you buy a car, you can put down a deposit. So it's a partial payment, some of the payment. If you rent a bicycle or a car, you have to pay a deposit. If you damage the bicycle or car, you don't get your deposit back. Even if you rent an apartment, you have to pay a deposit. You get the deposit back when you move out and you haven't broken anything. The first noun meaning for deposit is the name of something laid down. So the backpacks here are the deposits. The flood left a deposit of stones on the riverbanks. So the flood left stones that it laid down. The second meaning for deposit, noun meaning, is the name of money put into a bank account or given as a partial payment. So he put down a deposit of 100,000 for the car. Next, it's fascinate. Great. Fascinate has a verb meaning. To fascinate is to attract, to strongly hold the interest of, to fascinate. The circus clowns fascinated the children in the audience. They held their attention. Fascinating is a different form of the word. Fascinating is an adjective. We use the word fascinating to describe nouns which are extremely interesting. What do you find fascinating? I find shows about nature fascinating. Next, it's feeble. Great. Feeble has two adjective meanings. We use the word feeble to describe something which has little strength, which is weak. He is a feeble man. Lions prey on the most feeble zebras in the herd, so they prey on the most weak zebras. The second adjective meaning for feeble is a word we use to describe nouns which are not very believable or satisfying. So this would be stories or excuses which are feeble. Henry gave the teacher a feeble explanation for being late to class. His watch was broken, so the teacher did not believe him. It was a feeble excuse. Next up, it's formal. Excellent. Formal has two adjective meanings. The first adjective meaning of formal is a word we use to describe nouns which follow rules or customs, often in an exact and proper way. In South Korea, a formal greeting is one where you bow, formal greeting. In the West, so in England, America, countries like that, a formal greeting is a handshake. It's the rules or customs in an exact proper way. The second adjective meaning formal is a word we use to describe nouns which are suitable for events where strict standards of dress and behavior are expected. So this is formal dress. Have you ever been to a formal party? At a formal party, you have to wear a suit and tie. Next, it's, yes, frigid. Frigid has two adjective meanings. First, frigid is a word we use to describe nouns which are very cold. The morning air was so frigid that her mom's car would not start. The morning air, that's the noun. So frigid describes the morning air. What about the morning air? It was very frigid, very cold. The second adjective meaning for frigid is a word we use to describe nouns which lack a warm manner, unfriendly. The frigid greeting we received made it clear that we were not welcome. So someone can be frigid. If they're unfriendly, they're frigid. Next, it's harsh. You got it. Harsh has 1, 2, 3 adjective meanings. First, we use harsh to describe nouns which are rough and unpleasant to the senses. Senses are your smell, your hear, your taste, your sight. In a harsh tone of voice, the farmer ordered us to stay away from the cows. This guy has a harsh tone of voice. It's unpleasant to the senses. The second adjective meaning for harsh is something which causes pain, cruel. So something someone says can be harsh. It can hurt your feelings. Ow! My brother's harsh words hurt me deeply, and he later told me he was sorry. Harsh. The third adjective meaning harsh is a word we use to describe nouns which are not suitable for living things. Extremely uncomfortable things. The desert is a very harsh place to live. It's not suitable for living things. Northern Canada's harsh climate keeps people from settling there. It's very cold. It's a harsh climate. not suitable for living things. Next up, it's huddle. Great. Huddle has 2 verbs and 1 noun meaning. The first verb, huddle, is to crowd together. Let's huddle. Crowd together. Like this. They're huddling. The second verb meaning is to curl one's limbs up close to one's body. You can make a huddle. Curl up in a little ball. You huddle. The noun meaning huddle is the name of a closely packed group. This is a huddle. Next, it's remote. Great. Remote has 1, 2, 3, 4 adjective meanings. So listen carefully. Remote is a word we use to describe things which are far away in time or space. This is a remote island. It's far away from other things. It's remote. The second adjective, remote, we use this to describe something which is slight or faint, so small. There was only a remote chance of reaching our destination on time. There is a remote chance of rain today, so small chance, slight or faint chance. The third adjective meaning for remote is a word we use to describe controlled indirectly from a distance. So we can use a remote control to change the TV stations. Remote. You can get a remote control car. You control it from a distance. And finally, remote is also a word used to describe nouns, which is distant in manner. The store clerk seemed very remote and hardly looked at us when we asked for help. My grandma is very remote. She's very distant in manner. She doesn't talk a lot to other people. She's very remote. Next, it's yes, resemble. Resemble has a verb meaning. To resemble is to be like or similar to something else. The father and the son resembles his father. He looks similar, to be like or similar to. The markings on the wings of the moth resemble the eyes of a small animal and help protect it from becoming prey. Next up, it's rigid. Great. Not frigid, it's rigid. Rigid has 2 adjective meanings. First, we use rigid to describe things which are stiff and unbending, not flexible. These pipes are rigid. They're unbending, not flexible. A rubber pipe is not very rigid. It's flexible, it can bend. The second adjective meaning, rigid, is strict, not easily changed. The school has a rigid rule that students must wear uniform. So it's strict and unchanged, not easily changed. Next up, it's solitary. Solitary has 2 adjective meanings. First, solitary is a word used to describe being alone, lacking the company of others. So this boy is solitary. He is a solitary boy. He is all alone. The second adjective meaning is being the only one. So snow leopards are solitary animals. They travel alone. Next up, it's Substantial. Great. Substantial has two adjective meanings. First, substantial is used to describe something which is strong and solid. This is a substantial table. The chair is not substantial enough to support the weight of an adult. It's not strong enough. The second meaning for substantial is a word we use to describe things which are great in value or size. I received a substantial increase in my allowance because I agreed to do more chores. I ate a substantial breakfast. So it's great in value and size. A substantial breakfast. And finally, the last word is yes, waddle. Waddle has a verb and noun meaning. To waddle is to walk with short steps, swaying from side to side. A penguin waddles as it walks. Waddle is also the name of an awkward, clumsy walk. A penguin walks with a waddle. Now, friends, we can get into activity 7a. First, let's read the instructions. Finding meanings. Choose two phrases to form a sentence that correctly uses a word from word list 7. Then write the sentence. Great. Let's begin with 1a. That is operated from a distance. B. That is easy to operate. C. A rigid control is 1. D. A remote control is 1. So which two phrases, when put together, correctly describes a word from word list, or correctly uses a word from word list 7? It's D. A remote control is 1. Then A. That is operated from a distance. Those two. Let's write. Great. A remote control is 1 that is operated from a distance. Number 2a. To waddle is 2. B. To huddle is 2. C. Hold a person's interest or attention. D. Curl one's limbs up close to one's body. Which two are correct? B. To huddle is 2. D. Curl one's limbs up close to one's body. Let's write. Great. To huddle is to curl one's limbs up close to one's body. Next up, number 3a. A deposit is B. A colony is C. A group who settles in a new place. D. A payment for a concert ticket. So which two are correct? B. A colony is. C. A group who settles in a new place. Let's write. Excellent. A colony is a group who settles in a new place. Next, number 4. A. To resemble someone. B. Is to pay that person. C. To compensate someone. D. Is to apologize to that person. Which two are correct? It's C. To compensate someone. B. Is to pay that person. Let's write. There we go. To compensate someone is to pay that person. Next, it's number 5. A. One that goes on too long. B. A formal apology is. C. One that is difficult to believe. D. A feeble apology is. Which two are correct? D. A feeble apology is. C. One that is difficult to believe. Let's write. Is one A feeble apology is one that is difficult to believe. Excellent. Next, number 6. A. Is not changed easily. B. A rigid attitude is one that. C. A frigid attitude is one that. D. Is no longer practiced. So which two are correct? It is B. A rigid attitude is one that. A. Is not changed easily. Let's write. Changed easily. Great, there we go. A rigid attitude is one that is not changed easily. Next, number 7. A. Is unpleasantly rough. B. A harsh reply is one that. C is too late to be useful. D, a formal reply is one that. So which two are correct? B, a harsh reply is one that. A is unpleasantly rough. Let's write. Great. A harsh reply is one that is unpleasantly rough. Next, number 8. A, a fascinating place is one. B, that is in the tropics. C, a frigid place is one. D, that is very interesting. Which two are correct? A fascinating place is one. D, that is very interesting. Those two. Let's write. Great. A fascinating place is one that is very interesting. Next, number 9. A, that is open to the public. B, a solitary building is one. C, a substantial building is one. D, that has no others close to it. Let's have a look. Which two are correct? It's B, a solitary building is one. D, that has no others close to it. Let's write. Excellent. A solitary building is one that has no others close to it. That's right. Next up, it's the last one, number 10. A, money given as a payment. B, a deposit is. C, a path that one follows. D, a waddle is. So which two are correct? This is an easy one. You should get it. B, a deposit is. A, money given as a payment. There should be money given as a partial payment. Some of it. Let's write. Deposit is I'll write in partial. Because a deposit is not money given as the full payment. It's just as a partial payment. So it's very important to know partial sum. And there we go, friends. We have finished this activity. Great job! So today we took on activity 7a. Here we had to choose the two phrases and put them together to make a sentence which correctly uses a word from word list 7, and we've done it. So make sure that you got all the right answers, from 1 to 5, from 6 to 10. Friends, we are done for today. Well done, really great job with today's activity. Remember to join me next in day 3 and bring along activities 7b, C, and D. Bring along these 3 activities and join me next in day 3. Friends, I can't wait to see you then. Until then, take care and I'll see you later. Bye for now. Cheers.